Welcome to episode 119 of Board Game Blitz, a proud member of the Dice Tower Network and a podcast about all things board games that you can listen to in less time than it takes to untangle the holiday lights you haphazardly put away in January. Board Game Blitz is sponsored by Grey Fox Games. This week, we're talking about ourselves. First, we discuss a couple games we've played recently, like Escape Room in a Box Flashback and the Star Wars Unlock series. Then, we wanted to talk about all things Blitz, including some exciting things we're doing that you may not be aware of. And now, here are your hosts,
Ambie
and Crystal.
Recently, I played Escape Room in a Box Flashback, which is an escape room type game, if you can't tell from the title. So, Escape Room in a Box Flashback there's a series of games. Escape Room in a Box, they had a Werewolf Experiment as the first one, and then this is the second one. I have not played the Werewolf Experiment, but Flashback was published in 2019. It's designed by Juliana Moreno-Patel and Ariel Rubin, published by Mattel. So I got it in a Target sale a couple months ago now, I think, and then I played it with Toby. There's 90 minutes to finish the game, and we finished in like half the time. So
this is definitely on the easier side as far as like escape room games go.
It was an easier game, but like what was really interesting about it is that it has physical locks. So it has a bunch of puzzles, and there were 3 different paths that you can go on. So you can split up the puzzles. Like someone can be working on one puzzle while someone else is working on another puzzle. There was a lot of working in parallel that you can do. So we split up the tasks, and so we could finish quickly because we're like, oh gosh, we have to hurry. but I guess we didn't have to hurry too much. But yeah, like there's these plastic locks, and you have to find the lock combinations to open the lock. So it felt kind of like a real escape room that way, because you're solving puzzles to get the lock combinations and then opening those and finding more puzzles. So it was like a physical escape room, except for just in one box. So that was really neat. The locks themselves, I think the game was like $20 or something. So the locks themselves are cheap plastic locks. And in the rules, it says like, don't cheat by just trying to open the locks without knowing the code.
And that's an important thing to note. Like, you want to.
So like you play by the spirit of the game, which, I mean, it's a cooperative escape room type game. So you don't want to just go in there trying to open it by all means possible, which would be really easy with plastic locks. But I really enjoyed it. There were lots of different puzzles. It wasn't just one type of puzzle. There were word puzzles and spatial puzzles and physical puzzles. And they were all, I don't think there were any that I didn't like. Like the puzzles, when they were solved, it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And you knew what you were doing. And like when you solve it, you know you've solved it. Whereas sometimes in other escape room games, you're not really sure if you've solved it, which I don't like.
Hate those moments. The ones where you're like, I think this might be the answer, but you don't really have like the sure information. Yeah. So in this one, at least the way we did it, it was sure for us. And I really liked having the locked things. It was like, it felt like a real escape room. I think it was geared towards kind of kids. Like it would be good for kids. Like it had some things at the end that were like bonus thing for kids that would be cool for kids to have, I think. But we didn't care about it because Toby doesn't like keeping souvenirs. So, but yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it for spoilers, but it's really totally worth it if you like escape room type games, especially if you like real escape rooms and want more physical things. Because a lot of escape room type board games are less physical and more just paper stuff. But this had like actual plastic pieces and things that you use in the locks and stuff, which make it really neat. So that's Escape Room in a Box Flashback. Yeah, this one was really fun. So I've played both this and the Werewolf Experiment, and I've said this before, I think. The Werewolf Experiment, I do think, is better of the two, but I enjoyed both of them a lot. The Werewolf Experiment kind of blew my mind in a couple different ways, but this one also had a couple of fun surprises in it that, like, when they happen in the game, you're like, oh, like, you don't necessarily expect it from an escape room in a box. So yeah, this one is a great one to pick up. And I know the Werewolf Experiment, it seems like it's harder to get a hold of now, but so I would say if you see that one sitting on a shelf at a Target, grab it because it's also going to be pretty cheap and it's really fun. It is still my favorite escape room board game of all time is the Werewolf Experiment.
Yeah, I need to play that one, but I haven't found it yet.
Yeah. Well, keeping with our escape room theme, I recently had a friend who got a hold of the Star Wars Unlock games. And then she very kindly, after she played them, passed them off to me. So for those of you who aren't aware, we've talked about them on the podcast before, but Unlock is another series of escape room games that are card-based. And in the United States, when Unlock first started coming out, they only sold them in single packs, but now here they've started selling them in multi-packs, kind of like they do over in Europe. And the Star Wars one comes in one of those larger boxes. It is 3 different stories / escape rooms in a single box. There's the Escape from Hoth. There's one called An Unforeseen Delay. And then the last one is the Secret Mission on Jeddah. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything within these. I'm just going to talk about them kind of in relation to other Unlock games or other escape room games that I've played before. These are, hands down, my favorite Unlock games that I've ever played. And to give you some context there, when I play an escape room game, I do typically want things to be on the easier side, only because I really don't like those moments where you get stuck and you can't move forward and you like feel like you have to use hints. I would rather have a few easy puzzles and some like medium puzzles than a whole bunch of hard ones where like you just keep getting stuck over and over again. Mm-hmm. These also felt far more thematic than other Unlock games that I've played. And I don't know, like that probably has more to do with the IP itself than the mechanics. But like there's Star Wars music playing in the app while you're playing. Ooh. And yeah, like it's actual Star Wars music that's playing in the app. And since you're familiar with the world, I think it's easier to picture things and characters. Yeah. And there will be familiar characters that will show up in some of these to some degree. But yeah, like I felt more immersed in this than any other Unlock game that I've played. And this is what I'm about to say is not a spoiler. It is something you see right off the bat when you start playing any of these scenarios. They have a new mechanic called advantage cards. When you start these scenarios, they should give you 6 advantage cards and you get to pick 3 of them, but you don't get to know what they do until after you pick them. You just get to see the names. And they're really neat because they're like a cheat code, essentially. Like some of these advantage cards will give you benefits that will help you during the escape room. So like, yeah, like, I don't want to mention specifics of what they do, but they will make certain puzzles easier, or even you'll get to bypass them. It's almost like a shortcut through some of the stuff. And depending on what advantages you pick, it'll change kind of how the gameplay goes a little bit. The one downside for me in particular that had nothing to do with the game is because I was playing these solo, when I was playing the third scenario, I did that horrible thing where you miss one of the cards that you're supposed to draw when you're looking at, you're like, okay, I need, 1, 2, and 3, and you miss 2. So I had already discarded a card and that had something on it that I needed to draw that I hadn't drawn yet. And I got to a point where I was really confused because I was like, this isn't making sense. I know. And for whatever reason, my brain just didn't like go to the pile of discards to look at them. And so I kind of like cheated my way through a little bit just because I knew that something had gone wrong. And I was able to kind of fix it, but it like threw things off for me. And I was really bummed. It was definitely not the game's fault. It was a very clear thing. It wasn't a hidden number or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was on me. And I just was like, darn it. And so there's the downside of playing solo is you don't have that extra pair of eyes or like, hey, you forgot to grab that card.
I mean, I've done that even at 2 players, so.
Right. Like, it does happen occasionally. And I really should have gone back sooner to look and see if I had missed anything. I will say that the app is better integrated into these scenarios than other Unlock scenarios that I've seen. And I'm not going to give clarification about that for the sake of spoilers, but the app is awesome and it does some cool stuff. This is the mildest of mild almost spoilers, but it's something important that I feel like anyone who buys this needs to know, especially because we are in a pandemic right now. Scenario 2, an unforeseen delay, if you do not have more than one person, there is one puzzle that you will not be able to fully experience. I'm not going to say why, I'm not going to say what, but I will say that if you're playing that second scenario as a single person, there is a puzzle that you will not be able to experience the way it was intended to be experienced. And that is what happened to me, and that's okay, but I just wanted people to be aware. So yeah, it was awesome. These were really great. Honestly, this kind of has reinvigorated my love of Unlock, which I've never disliked Unlock, but it is always, in my mind, it is paled to some of the other series. And this one, I really hope they make more thematic scenarios like this, whether it's Star Wars or other IPs, because it was great.
Have you played the other recent ones, like Timeless Adventures and the...
No, so that's the thing. I'd kind of been like, I wasn't done with Unlock, but I had kind of just been like, whatever. So do they do similar things with those?
Yeah, they were a lot better. Like, I also was met on Unlock, and then like the recent ones have been a lot better, I think.
Okay,
the app
so
is
maybe
integrated more and
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes me, I honestly, I might pick up maybe the Timeless Adventures or one of the other big box series, because these are really fun to play solo. I really do enjoy that. So, all right, Unlock, you got me back.
Yeah.
Ambie, you and I realized something recently that, honestly, like, I'm kind of surprised we hadn't thought about sooner. And that is that there are people who listen to the podcast who might not know about all of the other things that you and I do board game content wise. And we do mention in our announcements at the top of the episodes, you know, things that we've been doing here and there, but like we're kind of doing more stuff regularly. And I think we should tell people what that stuff is.
Yeah. So this is going to be like a huge announcement episode. Basically.
And you, if you all are like thinking like, oh, Ambie and Crystal have run out of topics to talk about, you're not correct. So it's, no, we have not run out of topics, but I will say, like, I did not know what to talk about for this episode. And I also do want to make sure that you all are aware of the cool stuff that we've been doing, because we're doing some really neat stuff on our Twitch and YouTube channels and in other places.
Yeah. So one thing is we've been streaming a lot more on Twitch. So over at twitch.tv/boardgameblitz, every Thursday night I've been streaming board games. Currently, I've just been doing print and play board games. Currently, I've been doing ones that are roll and write, and you can stream, or the chat can play along. So that's been fun. And like, I've kind of been combining that with some videos on the Dice Tower on Board Game Breakfast, which is their weekly show. I have a segment on there where I've been talking about print and play board games. So I've been streaming them on Twitch, playing them, and then making a video about them for Board Game Breakfast. So like combining it all and making a bunch of content for together.
It's awesome. And you've been getting some really good feedback on those.
Yeah. I don't remember. Oh yeah. I think I talked earlier about like one of the print and play games on the podcast, because I had done some the summer games event, and they had a bunch of print and play games there. So I discovered them, and I was like, wow, like you don't hear much about them in board game media. So I was like, maybe I can just make some and look into it. So I've kind of gone down that rabbit hole a little bit.
Absolutely.
But also on the Dice Tower, we've been doing stuff that we started before the pandemic. Like I was doing my 18xx with Ambie series, where I'm talking about 18xx games. Currently, I'm doing overviews of specific titles, because I already did a bunch of general concepts, and now I'm going into specific titles and what makes them special.
You always get some really nice comments on those videos too. I like going in and seeing what people are commenting on them.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I've gotten some emails too, like saying thank you for making them. So that's nice.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for everyone who watches them and enjoys them. I'm glad. Yes, and then Crystal, you do Dice Tower tonight.
Yes. So it's interesting because it's every 2 weeks, and it's on the weeks that our podcast doesn't come out. So basically, if there's a week where our podcast comes out on Thursday, then Dice Tower Tonight is not that week. Dice Tower Tonight is on Wednesday nights, but on the opposite weeks of our podcast release schedule. It's live, though, so it's Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And what's really neat about Dice Tower Tonight, if you've never stopped by, it's a live interactive show where Eric Summer and we do a little bit of game reviewing, and we do a Q&A segment, but the coolest part of the show is we do a game. We play a game live with the chat, and we always make sure that there is an interactive element where the chat gets to play along with us. So of all of the live content on YouTube, I would say it's one of the most unique board game focused live shows. And I really enjoy it. Like, it's so much fun to make, and the chat seems to really enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I think it's great that it's interactive like that. Like, that's what makes live stuff really cool, I think.
I mean, that's the point, right? Like, if you're going to do live content, interact with your audience. Like, and we could play a game in front of the audience, and we kind of do that sometimes. But for me, the best parts of that show are when the chat is actively participating in it, because they get invested, and it's so neat.
Yeah.
I also recently mentioned in a video on the Dice Tower that I haven't done my top 100 for the Dice Tower. I did a top 100 with us on the Blitz channel 3 years ago, I want to say. It's been a while.
I think it was 2018, but I don't remember. Like the first half of 2018.
Yeah. So almost 3 years ago. And a bunch of people commented that they'd want to see my top 100. It was weird. I was kind of hoping that nobody would say anything, because then I wouldn't have to do it. I like doing my top 100, but the work involved, it's extensive. Yeah. Ambie, you just did your top 100 earlier this year.
It was like in January. So.
Oh my gosh. That feels like yesterday and also a million years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot of work to put together, but truthfully, if you all are interested in seeing my top 100, holler at me about it. Let me know, because I'm not going to make it if nobody wants to see it. But if a lot of people do want to see my top 100 on the Dice Tower, I'll do it. I just have to figure out how.
Maybe you could do it live.
That's kind of what I want to do, honestly. I don't know how exactly, but I'm better with live content than I am with recorded and edited content. So if I could figure out a way to do it live that would be interesting, I would really like to do that, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know here in the near future, you and I are planning on playing the Adventure Zone game remotely with each other on our Twitch channel. And that will probably be pretty soon. We don't have a date set yet, and we might actually be playing it with Danny from Danny Plays Games as well. So yeah, please make sure you're following us on social media, because when we do plan those streams, we will definitely be shouting about it on social media. And I'm really excited to play the Adventure Zone game.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And you've been streaming other stuff on Twitch, like you did the Thanksgiving Day stream-a-thon.
Yes, I did 10 hours. I mean, technically it wasn't 10 hours straight on our channel, because 2 of the hours, you and I were both on the Loozapalooza channel. But I streamed for 10 hours straight, basically, on Thanksgiving. Yeah. I'm considering doing something like that again on Christmas, if people are interested. You know, consider this selfish if you want, but I don't want to be alone on holidays where I would normally not be alone. And because of the pandemic and the fact that I got divorced earlier this year, I'm alone. And so I was like, well, I'll just hang out with my friends on the internet.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
It's been really fun. And I've been doing some other random streams, which I know that as far as Twitch streaming is concerned, unscheduled streams are not usually smart, but you and I don't necessarily have specific goals for our Twitch channel. So I figure streaming is better than not streaming, even if it's unplanned. So whenever the group of people that I'm friends with in the Brothers Murph Discord gets together to play Among Us, if I am feeling up for it, I will sometimes stream that. So if you have notifications turned on for our Twitch channel, then you'll see when we go live. And to that point, we also have a new way for you to know when we go live. What is that, Ambie?
Oh, yeah, we have a Discord now.
We made a Discord!
Yeah. So, yeah, we made a Discord. It's open to everyone. I'll put a link in the show notes for the invite. But yeah, since we've been streaming on Twitch, and so we can have voice chat for online gaming if we want to do that, we decided to make a Discord.
I was against Discord for so long. I really... And there are still things about Discord that I really don't like, but... for remote gaming purposes, for the voice chat and the video chat, it really is helpful.
Yeah, the voice chat has won me over, especially playing Among Us.
Oh my gosh, yes. And so, and we also truly want to support the community that supports us, and we want to give you all a place to get to know and hang out with other Blitzketeers. And just to be clear, we still have our Slack channel, and that Slack channel is still exclusive to supporters of our Patreon. And that's a low tier benefit. Like, if you donate $1 or more per month to us, which is, a fairly low amount of money, you get access to our Slack channel. That is still exclusive. That is not open to the public, but our Discord channel will be open to the public. So click on the link and join the Discord. I think it's a really good place to potentially meet up with some online friends and play some games.
Yeah. Also on Twitch, I've been streaming jigsaw puzzles, which aren't board games or video games, but
I mean, we can stream whatever we want, truly.
Yeah, we can stream.
Who's going to stop us?
But yeah, so I like doing jigsaw puzzles. So I've been doing them on weekdays, I guess any day, during nap time, which now is noon Pacific time. It used to be 1 p.m. But
it's moved.
Yeah, well, yesterday we actually moved them to 1 nap a day. So,
so is it a longer nap then, or no?
Yeah, it was 2.5 hours today. I'm hoping for like 3 hours, but
okay,
it might just be 2.5 hours. We'll see. But like they'll eventually settle into the schedule, and then we'll see.
Well, speaking of the twins, I bet some of our listeners would love to hear how they're doing.
Yeah, they're doing well. They're at 1 nap now, as I said. They're 14 and a half months old. They've been running around, like actually running. It's
that must be mildly terrifying.
Yeah, they climb on stuff too. I actually brought Go Away Monster out of the game room and put it in reach of them, and they like brought it out and wanted to play it. And so I opened it up and got them to play with the pieces and like take things out of the bag. And so over the last few days, I've kept it out of their reach, and they go over and point at it, and then I bring it out and we play with them and like give them the board and have them pull the pieces out of the bag, and then we put it away because like they don't put the pieces on the board yet. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they're getting a lot better at like taking the pieces out of the bag and then putting it away. They've been putting the pieces back in the bag, and they kind of know that it goes away. Because like the first time they just tried to like rip the box and rip the instructions. The instructions are ripped now, but but yeah, so that's exciting. And then Haba had a Black Friday sale where they had 20% off. So I bought 5 of my very first games series for them. Building Site, First Orchard, Here Fishy Fishy, Hungry as a Bear, and Tidy Up. So that I will be introducing to them in the future. So I'm excited for those. I might have gone overboard, but
I mean,
yeah.
Come on, if you're a board gamer and a parent, I feel like it's the way it is, and it's fine. Just like, set them around and be like, hey, these are things that exist if you want to play with them, and then they're going to want to play with them, and it's going to be great.
Yeah. And I think it's also fun, like it's kind of special for them because then I'm playing with them instead of like a lot of times with toys, I'm doing something or like I have stuff to do. I'm cooking and then they play with their toys or something. But then with the board game, I sit with them and bring it out and then put it away. And so like during the whole time of the board game, it's a special thing. So I think that's exciting for them.
Also really cute, like OMG. So what other, I mean, obviously you and I talk about games we've been playing recently. I know you and Toby have been playing games together, but what has your gaming been like recently? Obviously you and I have had to make, some pretty big changes to our normal gaming schedules as a result of the pandemic.
Yeah, for me, I haven't been gaming much other than the escape room type games is what I've been playing with Toby. Yeah, I think that's like most of our recently played in the last few episodes have been that type of game. I've been doing the print and play games on stream, but that's pretty much it. I haven't really played that many games online, although maybe I should. Like I feel like we should play more games on Tabletop Simulator, and like maybe we could play with each other on and like stream that too. But yeah, it's tough to schedule those. So.
Well, and for me, so I really like Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator because of how well they simulate the physical space in which a board game would exist. But as a result of having a mouse with a cursor instead of your hands, it takes a significantly longer amount of time to manipulate pieces in those spaces. So games that should take 30 minutes take an hour. Games that should take an hour take 2 hours. And if I'm going to play a game for that long, I want to play a heavier game, not a light game that just happens to take that long. Mm-hmm. But I will say almost everything on Board Game Arena for me is great and takes closer to the amount of time it should. So I would say that you and I, even though it's not as pretty looking, I would say let's maybe look into Board Game Arena. And they actually just announced today that they're doing a kind of board game advent calendar thing. Every single day in December, they're releasing a new game onto the platform. 31 new games. And they're giving away trophies or badges for every day that you go to the site and click on a thing. So for those of you
logging in.
Yes, you should start logging into Board Game Arena, and you and I should look into some of those games. I think it would actually be really neat for us to, because I think we tend to also go for stuff that we already know, and it's not that difficult to learn on Board Game Arena. We can put on training mode and just kind of mess around with stuff to some degree. Yeah. So maybe it would be neat for us to learn some of those games. Who knows what they're adding? They haven't announced any of them yet. It's all going to come, through the month of December. But
yeah, we should try that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. And I do like playing games on Board Game Arena. I've played a few recently. I've played some stuff on Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia here and there as well, but not as often. Mm-hmm. And then as far as in-person gaming goes, most of my gaming has been solo. Mm-hmm. There have been a couple of instances during the pandemic where I hung out with 1 or 2 friends. Back when the weather was nicer, we would kind of hang out outside and play games on an outdoor table. And obviously we were wearing masks and trying to be, as socially distant as we could. But luckily, my very wonderful friends, Kathy and Elissa, both, I love them and miss them like crazy, and they recognized that I needed to play games for the podcast. So we found ways to do that, but we haven't been able to do that recently. The pandemic has been ramping up everywhere, and it's getting bad. And so obviously, I'm not meeting up with anyone in person right now. And I miss it. I miss playing games with people. And as I mentioned earlier, for me personally, I did get divorced. My divorce got finalized right at the end of August. And I moved into my new house at the beginning of September. So I've been in the new house now divorce was September, house was October. Yes. Because I have not been in this house for 3 months. It's been 2 months that I've been in the house. It was beginning of October. Time is a mystery during a pandemic. I don't remember when anything happened, but I'm pretty much settled in now, and the dogs are getting settled in. I will admit I'm really excited to get my game room set up for future game nights, but my game table from Wormwood isn't coming until the summer, so it's kind of hard to do the rest of the room without the table. So I'm going to buy a new, either a Kallax or a Besta shelf from IKEA at some point, because not all of my games have homes right now. So some of them are still in boxes because they have nowhere to live.
My game room is really messy because I haven't used it, and then I just dump stuff in there, and then I've been streaming. So there's all these wires everywhere from the lights and the cameras. And oh gosh. It's very messy.
Honestly, my whole house is a little bit like that. There's just little bits of things because I'm I'm going to do that, and then I'll do this, and then it just all sits everywhere.
And speaking of advent calendars, which you mentioned a bit ago, I decided to make an advent calendar, a song parody advent calendar, because actually, I was in Loozapalooza Twitch chat, and someone was saying to make a song advent calendar, and I was like, oh gosh, that sounds like a lot of work and something that I wouldn't do. And then the next day I made 10 song parodies for it, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do this. So they're all short though. But yeah, so that will be going on my Twitter and on my other YouTube channel, the song parody one, Ambie Rona, every day of December. From the 1st through 24th, because that's advent calendar time, right?
Well, you should definitely share the videos in the Board Game Blitz YouTube feed, so at least people can click through to them from our feed.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I'll try to do that if I remember.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to hearing them.
Yes, I hope they don't disappoint.
You could never disappoint me, Ambie. Another thing that we recently took part in that will likely be coming back is Nick Murphy and Ruel Gaviola put together what they're calling the Tabletop Live Network. Basically, they and us and a lot of other board game content creators did start streaming more on Twitch during the pandemic, and they realized that board game content on Twitch, you know, it's kind of hard. If you want to just go to Twitch and watch board games, it's hard to find a dedicated place where you can do that all day long, essentially. Like, that just doesn't exist. There aren't enough streamers yet. So they are doing I think they're intending it to eventually be a monthly stream on a weekend, like a Saturday, where they have multiple content creators doing streams back to back to back all day long. And we took part in the first one of those here recently, and hopefully they'll be doing more of those soon. And I'm really excited about that because for me, like, it definitely, it never feels like a competition with other people who are streaming on Twitch. Like, it feels like a very warm and welcoming community, and we do all want to support each other.
Yeah, and you get an all-day raid train, which is fun.
Yeah, like, that's, like, Twitch encourages you to support other creators through tools like raiding and things like that. And it's really nice to be able to build communities that have crossover. Like, it's not just people who follow Board Game Blitz or people who follow Ruel's channel or the Brothers Murph or whoever else. It's like, oh no, we're all board gamers and they're streaming this and they're streaming that. And like, it's just, I don't know, it feels so good.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of the final thing that I would want to say is a lot of what we've done this year and what we're doing currently, at least for me and Ambie, I imagine for you as well, is it's about the community. We don't, like, I've said this 1,000 times, we don't have goals. Like, we don't have specific things that we're shooting for per se. I would say with the exception of, like, I'm always trying to help build and improve our community and the board game community at large. And I think that it's been really neat to see how the community has come together online, you know, during this year that has been pretty darn awful for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So thank you to those of you who are part of our community and who support us. And we appreciate you all. And I hope that this episode kind of gave you a little bit more insight or let you know about other things that we've been doing. And if there are things that we forgot, which is likely because we usually forget stuff that we do, let us know. Be like, hey, you should have mentioned that. And we'll throw it out in a future episode when we actually have a real discussion topic of some kind.
And that's it for this week's Board Game Blitz. Visit our website, boardgameblitz.com, for video and blog content, as well as to get links to all our social media pages. This episode was sponsored by Grey Fox Games. Need the perfect gift for someone on your list? During December, you can get 20% off your order of all non-exclusive items at greyfoxgames.com by entering the promo code HOLIDAYBLITZ at checkout. Plus, you still have time to get in on the Pledge Manager for Campaign Trail 2nd Edition if you missed the Kickstarter. Grey Fox Games. Quality games cleverly crafted. Support our show and get cool perks for as little as $1 a month by visiting patreon.com/boardgameblitz. As a patron, you'll get access to pre-edit recordings and our private Slack channel where you can chat with us and other Blitzketeers every day. Our theme song was composed by Andrew Morrow. Technical support provided by Toby Mack. Board Game Blitz is part of the Dice Tower Network. Until next time, it's beginning to look a lot like game night all across the net. Take a look at Board Game Arena or Tabletopia, or even just a Zoom call with some friends. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Less time than it takes to untangle the holiday light. Okay, I'm just going to start over because the whole thing felt
tangled.
Yes. Tangled is a good description. Because I'm trying to do it quickly, but that was too quickly. Hello, and welcome. Dang it, I'm doing the thing where the hello is weird again.
Just say ahoy.
I'm not moving back to ahoy. I'm not doing the ahoy. I'm not. Dang it. Why is this funny? There's nothing funny about it. Okay. All right.